Who is Bryan Johnson? He's a man who likes to go all in on the things that he believes in, which is more than most of us can say for ourselves. He joined the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon church. He was a Mormon for most of his life. He went on Mormon missions of the church to which he belonged in several countries. I believe he went to Venezuela or Colombia. And in that country, he found a great deal of poverty. And he went back to the United States at 21 years old. And as he was set to join college, he promised to himself, I will become rich so that I can make the world a better place and not allow it to go through the privation which I have seen in these poorer countries. And so he did. He set out about his mission. He started reselling phones. Then he worked as a salesman for a credit card company. And then he created his own parallel credit card service. And his credit card service his payment service was what gave rise to Braintree Venmo, which he later sold for $800 million. And his personal payoff must have been estimated on the house of around $400 million to $500 million. So he's often cited as being a billionaire. If you get a 10% return on that much money, which you can easily get through the S&P and other conventional investments, you have $50 million in the bank each year without depleting your main stockpile. So he has money forever, as long as he keeps to the minimum cap of $50 million a year, which I believe he will do. And he has a son. He has a son who lives with him. He has another son who lives with his mother. Doesn't choose to live with Bryan. But the son who lives with him, and he has posted several unconventional and controversial pictures of that son. That son has incredible biomarkers, just like Johnson. He's on the protocol line where Bryan says, oh, we go to sleep at the same time, we eat the same thing, we train at the same time. That's probably not quite right. He also has a heavier calorie diet than Bryan does because he's younger, he's growing, and his body's still developing. And he also needs to go to sleep a little later so he can fit in with his peers, and he needs to use his phone before bed as well, which Bryan would scoff at as well, and he doesn't recommend it. He himself doesn't do it, but of course Talmadge does it because he took a screenshot of his resting heart rate and posted it at 10 p.m. Right, so he's using his phone then. And I think that it's very controversial. It's the difference between the public persona and who you actually are. But a lot of their data is incredible, especially his HRV, which is at an athlete level. Genetic, it's largely genetic. His son has gotten his HRV to I think he's gotten it to 190, has been the largest number, like 195 or 99. And some athletes, of course, can get their up to 250. There have been athletes who have gotten their HRV up to 250, I think almost 300. And Talmadge is almost there. He's like 197 at his best. And that's largely genetic. Meanwhile, his father cannot get it up at all. And of course, that has to do with age. HRV will go down slightly with age. But judging from Bryan's HRV, he certainly could have never gotten to 200 as his son can. And many of these metrics that we obsess over ultimately are genetic, ultimately are down to luck. But I think Bryan has done a lot to kind of publicize the idea of taking better care of your body, of kind of letting go of social convention that tells you to destroy yourself. Self-care has always been great. I mean, of course, we remember from history class that back then, the work week, you would work like 16 hours a day. That can still happen in China and other places. Factory workers, co-workers, children work 16 hours a day. And somebody at some point understood that was very bad for your health. And so people protested very heavily for that. They went on strike for that. And ultimately, they got the 8-hour workday, which was a great accomplishment. It was supposed to be 8 hours work, 8 hours leisure, 8 hours sleep. And that was the kind of mantra, the kind of advertisement. And I think that Bryan, if nothing else, he brings more health consciousness into the minds of people, and he allows people to understand how damaged they are by the daily life that is barraged upon us, and how current social conventions are perhaps inadequate to preserve our health.